That's really weird. We're having connection issues. I apologize. This is episode 34, part 2 now of ZK Live. It's twice it said that we had connection issues. I paid all this money for super beefed up Wi-Fi. I don't know what's happening. Maybe it was that there was multiple people in my shop on the Wi-Fi who were also in this podcast or live show. Either way, let's get back to my friend here. Oh no, and then the questions are all gone too. Well, Instagram Live IG Live is disappointing today. But somebody asked me about Alkyd acrylic paints and do I believe in them? I'm not sure I understand why they phrased it that way. Do I believe in them? I do believe in them. It is true. I guess the first step is Alkyd acrylic is a real thing. In chemistry, there is a way to take an alkyd and an oil resin and suspend it in water. The chemists have figured out how to do that. So yes, first of all, Alkyd acrylics are real. We should start getting t-shirts that say that. Alkyd acrylic is real. It is real and it serves a number of purposes and there's a lot of advantages to it. We use Fine Paints of Europe Eco. Eco is an Alkyd acrylic. We also use Benjamin Moore Advance. That is an Alkyd acrylic. I once did a very large project with a lot of pro classic Alkyd acrylic. The acrylic resin, the Alkyd resins, they're just nicer. They feel nicer. There's something about oil resin that it's beautiful. It feels good. They're true enamels. They dry really hard and very durable. And so when you combine them when you suspend those molecules in water, meaning that when it dries, the water evaporates off and what you're left with is Alkyd resin, it can be a great win-win. It's like the best of both worlds. You get oil, like the finish and the feel and the look of oil at the end, and you get the beautiful cleaning up with water, cleaning your brushes out in a sink and not going through a bunch of thinner and all those things. So yes, what I tell most people when I talk to one of my clients, we just finished that like quick new construction house. It was not super high end. Great clients, great builder. And she had color samples out from Behr. She was going to be painting a piece of furniture. And I told her what I would recommend for a homeowner is Benjamin Moore Advance. I think Benjamin Moore Advance as an Alkyd acrylic is a great, in satin particularly, is a tremendous enamel that makes average painters look really good, right? It has the ability, it lays out really nice. The oil resin, it just looks buttery and beautiful off of a foam roller or a microfiber. So Alkyd, Advance is a great product. And I think that it's tremendous on trim, particularly when you have a larger project that dry times are not as big of an issue and you're not going to be able to do 2 coats in one day. It's a great product. So Alkyd acrylic is good there. Eco is the Alkyd acrylic we use most, and we use it mostly on exteriors, on trim, and then we also use it some on interior trim. Again, it feels nice, it's super durable, but it cleans up with water. So that was a question that we had from before. All of our questions from the last from the live show have disappeared. So if you guys typed in your questions before, could you retype them in at the little question mark thing down at the bottom? Otherwise, I'm just going to sit here and riff on some crazy monologue that might not speak to anybody. So if you have questions, I would love to answer them. At this rate, though, we'll probably keep it to an hour because we've lost all our questions, and you guys don't want to hear me talk for too long without some sort of guidance. I could tell you, what else do we have going on? Oh, our Vero metal process is, Dan and Bradley have dialed in our Vero metal in the shop to a very high level. We're super excited. I just sent samples out for a project in Houston that we might be doing, where we're taking aluminum muttons or mullions. Depends on, what do you guys say, muttons or mullions? You should do a poll. But you know what I'm talking about. They're aluminum. They want them to be brass to match a bunch of other brass stuff on this big commercial project. So we are getting really good at spraying Vero metal, Dan particularly. And he's also Fauci of architecture. God, I get distracted so easily. Somebody wrote, "When are you going to bring Fauci of architecture?" I don't know what you mean there, Runga. But we have a question that popped up. Let's see what it is. Here we go. One of my favorite topics, wood preservatives. Straw Co. Build said, "What do you look for in wood preservative?" Water-based. That's huge. The ability to recoat with water or oil is huge. I'm pretty much just going to describe C2 Guard for you. C2 Guard is our go-to wood preservative. I don't know why you would use any other one. Well, actually, I do. There's the wood preservative that I used to use is cheaper. And is honestly, I don't know why I don't use more of it. We've just moved to having one product, and even if it's a little bit more, we stick with it because we know it works. And it can be top coated in water or oil, and I think there's a big advantage there. We use C2 Guard on any piece of bare wood for the most part anything that goes exterior bare wood. Why can't you get C2 Guard? It's called Seal Once. You can get it as Seal Once as well. As a wood preservative, it's the ultimate insurance to our paint job. It's essentially taking wood and turning it into like AZEK. Oh, you're in Australia. Man, there must be products like it. So Seal Once is the product that C2 licensed the technology from to make C2 Guard. So C2 Guard is not made by C2. It's a product licensed to C2 by a company called Seal Once. But it's a water-based wood preservative. You treat wood with it. The wood I'll take a board, I'll treat it, and then you can take that board, submerge it in water for 7 days. It will come out and it will be bone dry at its core. Obviously, it'll be wet on the outside edge. That's a beautiful thing. That makes it so that now, I think all carpenters should be using it. It's way better than back priming or priming your cuts with your paint on the job site. This stuff it's like water. It dries clear. You have no idea it's there. There's no sheen to it, nothing. So we're big fans of C2 Guard. I actually just gave some to a friend to coat the bottoms of his playground equipment because they were starting to rot out a little bit. I think what makes a good wood preservative is really, if you can find it, fast dry, which is nice. The ability to top coat with water or oil, with latex or oil, acrylic or oil. C2 Guard has some nanoparticle technology that allows you can take water-based paint and you can paint over the top of it with water-based paint. The other wood preservative I used to use was called Wood Life Classics. It's much cheaper. It's like $25 a gallon or something. That can only be top coated in oil because it's repelling water and it's not doing it with nanoparticles. So the water-based paint can't bond to the surface. So that's one little difference. But I think if you can find one that's universal and has nanoparticles, that's huge because then I've never done it, but you can stain over the top of C2 Guard as well. In fact, we should do a whole series on C2 Guard and do some tests because it's been a long time since I did testing on it. And I want to do some decking boards that we stain over the top. But it's a cool product. And if you can find one that will go water-based and oil top coat, I think that's a great thing to try. Someone asked about David Andriozzi. Yeah, I'm sure David and I will have another episode together. He's so full of knowledge, and we were just getting going. We're going to be meeting in the next couple of weeks to start working on the writing some paint specifications that we can that he will help facilitate get out to other architects. If you guys missed that episode with David Andriozzi from Andriozzi Architecture, that was an awesome one. There was 2 of them, and there was like 5 hours of content. Yeah, so we have the metal. The metal is dialed in. I think I showed some of you guys, if you've seen the stories, we have I'm sorry, I'm reading people's stuff. We just finished a nickel silver piece of furniture that is beautiful. Dan and Bradley did an amazing job. They sprayed nickel silver, and on some really, some tough details, they were able to polish it up. And then we're using a ceramic nanoparticle. Look at all these nanoparticles we're talking about. I used to think nanoparticles was like a made up thing that wasn't real, that people just use to like sell things. But apparently it is a real thing. So there's a product that we have begun to experiment with that will seal the surface of the metal, prevent it from patinaing. Patinaing, I think that's the word. I'm not sure if that's the word. But is such a thin layer that it doesn't feel like there's anything there. So it feels like you're still touching metal, but it's protected. Yeah, we don't have a lot of questions tonight. Let's see, what did my assistant put in front of me? Oh, Dan, if you're there, yeah, Dan can turn the booth on. Crap. My assistant handed me a note when we started this, and I didn't look at it because I thought it was like for later. 1 second. There we go. I just texted Dan. He can turn the booth on. Wow. Read notes. Don't just leave them in your hands and play with them. I was curling up in my hand. Yeah, so Dan is in here, and they're going to put another coat on the that entry door. I'll have to show you. Let's see. Maybe he left. Oh. We're good. Beautiful. Maybe they turned it on. I didn't even hear it. I don't know. But that's going to be a phenomenal door. It's a very high profile project or property, let's say. I'm very excited to have a door on another. I'll have 3 doors now on Beacon Hill in Boston. It's a very historic area where it's all these like brick and brownstone buildings. So all you really see is the entry doors. So a lot of people have high gloss front doors. So I'm excited that we'll have 3 doors on the hill now. And I would imagine that they will lead to many more, because we're going to deliver a phenomenal door to this client. I'm very excited for that. We have years now of our process dialed in, and really excited for that. We're starting to get more and more inquiries. I tried to say that word earlier today and couldn't say it. We're getting more and more inquiries through Instagram these days, which is really cool. I'm very grateful for that. For a long, long time, I was doing lots of work reaching out to people through Instagram all the time to develop relationships. And now some of these things are starting to come to me organically, where clients are sending me messages and builders are sending me messages. So any of you guys who are working on Instagram for your businesses, like, stick with it. Keep doing the best you can to document your process, who you are, what your company stands for. The more you can do that, the better, because eventually over time, I'm finding that Instagram is starting to be, it was our number one revenue stream as far as marketing went, or just in general. I mean, well over half of our work, way more than that. The company's blown up since we got on Instagram. Instagram has been huge for us. But most of that work was from strong referrals, or most of it was honestly from me reaching out in the DMs. I would send messages to builders and architects and designers. And for, that would bear fruit quite often. Not, I mean, quite often. Enough to keep me doing it. But I encourage everyone to stick with doing your absolute best, committing as much time as you possibly can towards documenting what you and your company do in as clear a form as possible on your feed. Because if you can do that, eventually people will organically find you. Or I had a builder call me this week, beautiful home, custom home on the water in Jamestown they're building. And he called his builder friend, and his builder sent him one of my Instagram posts. That's the holy grail for me. Like, that's like, don't send my phone number, don't send my business card, send one of my Instagram posts, and that's the best way to refer me. So I think if you look at our Instagram feed, it's a pretty darn good representation of our company, what we stand for, the type of work we do, our passion for what we do. I hope all that stuff comes through. I've definitely slacked on it in the last few months to a year. I've slacked on my feed. We're definitely staying up on the stories, but my feed is not what it used to be as far as volume. But I think if you go to my Instagram page, you pretty much know what we're all about. And that, I think that's very powerful. So I would encourage all of you to stick with it. Think about who your target audience is. I know for a long time I was sort of confused on who it was. And I still do make content for contractors. I mean, we're on here right now, and homeowners don't give a crap about what I'm talking about. So I do make content for contractors. But most of my Instagram feed is targeted at my ideal client, showing them the process. Here's what my company does. Here's what, you want to have a high gloss door done? If you go to my feed, you can see every step of the way. And then now when you're questioning why a high gloss door is $3,000 to $5,000, you can understand where that came from, right? If I only posted pretty photos at the end of a door, it's a lot harder to get people to understand why a door costs so much. So my Instagram feed is definitely targeted. I honestly, I should spend a lot more time on it, but I got a lot of stuff going on, and right now I'm kind of coasting on Instagram as far as that goes. We've built a large following. We have a very clear representation of what we do. And so I don't think I might have reposted Phil's thing last week and didn't post it all on my feed, which that's slacking. And I will try to get better. But either way, 2 people came to my Instagram. 3 people, actually. I had 3, because now my leads are like, they're few and far between, but when they come, they're really, really strong. I have to do a lot to mess them up. That's what we want. I don't have to spend a bunch of time either looking at jobs or vetting people out. And, most of the time, if you come to us, you know what we stand for and you want it. And we give you a great value for that. So I'm definitely grateful for that. But all 3 of those people 2 of them were referred to me through Instagram, and one of them, I think, just follows me, which is super cool. Here we go. I didn't even read this yet, but Paint Wizards 1 says, do you paint with your crew to stay caught up if needed? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If I have to. I really try not to. What was the last thing I did? Oh, what am I talking about? Last week I sprayed a kitchen. So yeah, I jump in where necessary all the time. That's my job, is to make sure that everything keeps going. I got a really nice pair of shorts. I got paint on a really nice pair of shorts, which happens to me all the time. I go through nice shirts and nice shorts fairly consistently, where I will, I try to change clothes in the car sometimes. So, if I'm going to go do that, I did take off my nice polos, which one day will get lettered. I wear the same, navy ones all the time. I have, 6 of them. And they're going to get lettered. They just haven't gotten lettered yet. But I try to take those off and at least put on ZK Painting t-shirts. But yeah, I definitely, wherever necessary, will fill in. I was going to paint that door this weekend, and then Dan and Bradley were like, no, we'll come in and do it. And I was very grateful for that, because I need a break before this crazy week. Let's see. The Right Painter said, is your school for FPE certification? No, my ZK Finishing School is not. It's not going to. As of now, is not going to supplant. Is that the word? There's a word for it. It's not going to take the place of FPE certification. I do see it as a. It is like. It's a we see it as a feeder. Like if you come to ZK Finishing School, there's a very good chance that FPE certification is near in your future, right? Because FPE certification is a certification, unlike some, that is saying it is certifying that you are already doing the work at a high level. It is not there. It is not a class that teaches you how to do it at a high level. So we have the ability to have people come out, teach them, find out where they're at, and that's how the FPE certification process happens, where someone nominates you. Usually it is your paint dealer, but sometimes it's other painters that are certified. They nominate you to Fine Paints of Europe. So yes, definitely coming to ZK Finishing School is going to be the fast track to being FPE certified if you're not already doing that in your local area. The owner of Fine Paints of Europe is going to be taking us all out to dinner on Saturday night. I'm not saying he's going to be at every ZK Finishing School. That's a lot to ask from John. But we are very lucky to have. I'm very lucky to have a close relationship with John and FPE and the whole team there. And so I don't imagine very many people are going to be coming to ZK Finishing School, learning all about FPE. A lot of what we're going to talk about is FPE, the first two classes, and we're probably going to end up breaking it down into things that then are not FPE classes, like just sales and marketing or just cabinet refinishing. But these first two classes are definitely going to be very heavily focused on FPE. And so if you get through the vetting process of ZK Finishing School and you come here, I would imagine you're the type of person that's should be and could be and should be FPE certified. So I think there's no question that we're going to be using this we're also going to be using it as a way to train the already certified FPE painters, because there is a wide variety of skill level. I don't know, let's say skill level. There's quite a range in skill level in certified painters in FPE. So not everyone got FPE certified and then went down, then paid $6,000 to a consultant to come out and like absolutely obsessed and spent lots of time and money devoting like my life to mastering Fine Paints of Europe painting. So there's a lot of guys in there that I think we can add value to and help out and coach up and give some of our experience without. Because that's why I hired my consultant, was I just realized, yeah, I could make all these mistakes and pay for them and learn from them. And I had made one big FPE mistake. I did a big job with Eco on all the trim. And I had made a lot of mistakes, and it cost me a lot more than $6,000. So when I had the opportunity to hire a consultant, I was very happy to, because I saw that it would save years and years of hard-learned experience. And I will tell you right now, as I stand here, there's not a question that me hiring Larry as my consultant changed the course of my life and fast forwarded my company, my education, my knowledge, and got us to a point that would have taken me, we're young in the FPE world and we've gone really far. And I can attribute that to paying somebody for their knowledge. And that's what I'm doing with ZK Finishing School. Is like, no one's saying you can't learn all this stuff at ZK Finishing School on your own. You can. But you can learn way faster. And you can save a lot of expensive mistakes that I've made and other people I know have made. So I think that to answer the question, I've already answered the question. I'm beating this like a dead horse. I apologize to everybody. But yes, if you're thinking about you want to get FPE certified, if anybody is, like, talk to FPE, go all that stuff. But if you come to ZK Finishing School, it's safe to say that you're on the fast track. There's no question, because that's the ultimate vetting. Like, anyone who wants to come out and nerd out about paint for a weekend and pay money to do it, like, That's our kind of person, and that's the kind of person, and that's the kind of companies and people that FP wants to certify, is people who eat, sleep, and breathe painting and are going to make their brand look good. That's why FP has a certification process, is because so many people were using their paint and having negative results, right? Because they weren't listening to what FP was saying, and they were just following the protocols that they were used to following. And there was a lot of paint failure, and FP realized that they needed to have a certification process so that when people came to so unlike any other paint company that I'm aware of, many people come to Fine Paints of Europe, ultra high-end clients. The clients themselves, they will call Fine Paints of Europe, talk to Emmett for hours, and then ask for a paint recommendation. So then they were like, well, we should start to vet some people and have a list of names that we can give to these high-end clients who are calling and spending hours on the phone with us discussing their projects and going over color. And, so that was the whole origin of the certification as I understand it. Chade asked a great question, and we'll talk about this when you're here, because right now I'm not openly sharing what the name of this product is, just because we have not used it enough. It's $5,800 a gallon. It's very expensive. You don't have to buy a gallon, by the way. I did not buy a gallon. You can buy it in small amounts. It doesn't use much. But yes, it can go over patinas. I have another friend who's doing some much more rigid testing right now, and he's finding that it's not great over the ferrous metals. So I'm not sure how it's going to go over patinas. But I think that we should do some testing. And Shade, send me a DM later, and we'll talk about it. The right painter, I think you're right. If why Hawaii is not full of FP everywhere, is simply because no one's done the work to market and sell it. And it's to say the work, it's work. That's why we do a lot of work in Boston, because I don't have to work nearly as hard. In my Rhode Island market, I've had to work really hard to sell it here, because it's an uphill battle when people are not asking for it already. But anytime there's a vacuum in the market, it always pays off to fill it. The right painter asks, how long is this class? So the itinerary, we just finished it up today. We went through and made it much more detailed. It starts, 8 o'clock on Friday. We have the Friday night, we have an optional meetup. In case people are traveling and they want to just get to bed early, you don't have to come. But we have appetizer, cocktail meetup. And then 8 a.m., we're at the shop Saturday morning. We have coffee and donuts to start, and then we work till 6 o'clock at night. Everybody goes back, showers, and changes, and then we go to a nice dinner. FPE has sponsored this. We have a private room at a fancy restaurant. We're going to eat delicious food. Really grateful for John and what he's doing. And then Sunday we'll go back. Same thing, 8 a.m. I think we're going to work till around 5. The last couple hours are sort of open time. So if people need to leave to catch a flight, they can. But right now the first two are Saturday, Sunday. We are, after this first one, Phil, those donuts, talk to Carney, but yes, oh man, Phil lives near a place that sells delicious donuts. We might order an Allie's donut cake as well, but I'm not sure if that's gonna work out. But after after the first class, I've told everyone who has signed up for the third class that we're up in the air as to whether we're going to do it on a Friday, Saturday instead of a Saturday, Sunday. I'm experimenting. Let's see. I want to see how this first one works. It's a lot, because I think we're going to have them twice a month. That's my plan. Because I want to keep the class sizes small, so that we're getting massive amounts of knowledge and back and forth. And it's not just there's 15 other guys and you're all listening to one person talk all day. That's not a great way to learn what we're talking about. You could do a webinar for that, and we'll have some online classes eventually. But right now, what I really want is the hands-on experience that I think is what's seriously lacking in our industry, is real hands-on learning in a controlled setting. So, yeah, that's right now. The plan is Saturday, Sunday. But I think we're going to keep it a 2-day for a while. I know there are other courses that are 1 day. I know of other courses that are like a week long. I can tell you it's definitely not going to be a week long. Maybe when we build out the big school. My dream, my goal is to build out like a large facility that is a dedicated school. And then my dream is also, I'm letting you guys all in on the big secrets ahead of time. My dream is also to outfit a tractor trailer and travel the country doing events where we can have, a spray booth, a portable spray booth will be part of the tractor trailer, and, some, like, a bunch of the equipment that we need, and then also sort of combine that with a facility and do, like, in-person trainings while also having the spray booth and some of the stuff that, you don't want to rely on, somebody else's equipment. So that's the goal. My big picture dream is that we build this fairly large facility where people can come out and they all have their own tools, and it's a very, very structured environment. And then we have the ability to take it on the road and do more regional stuff for people who can't travel. And my goal is to have multiple classes. I want to have like you come to a class, you get your degree. You come to 2 different ones. I think we're going to have to break it out into different ones. After we do the first one, we'll find out. But my gut is that ZK Finishing School, the way we have it now, is going to be, there's just too much information to impart in a 2-day class that we're probably going to break up the classes into very, very concentrated topics for the weekend. In which case, if that ends up happening, then we'll have like, you get your bachelor's degree with 3 classes. If you come to all 6 of the courses and you do the online supplemental work, you get your PhD. Because there's just a ton of stuff to go over. And, because we're not going to talk about metal probably. We're not going to talk about 2K poly very much. We're going to really focus on FPE. So there's so many things that I want to be able to share. And I want to open it up to more than just the owners of paint companies, but also, where it makes sense to send out your lead painters or to send out your apprentices and, for trade schools to send their kids, because this idea that your paint education should come from just what your boss taught you just is not a very good reality for the situation that we are in as far as the skilled trades in this country. I just think that I was done a disservice. Like, I would have loved to have gone to this school, these classes. I've gone to classes before and I've learned a lot. I think it's huge. I love painting and I always want to get better. And so what better way to do it than to be able to just come to a class and speed up your education? And that's kind of what we're looking to do. Oh, man. My assistant Carney asked, what is my all-time favorite project? Man. My all-time favorite project. I will say my all-time favorite project is a project that I did when I was one of my first. It was the first no, it wasn't. That's a lie. It was the first custom home I ever worked on by myself. We did a project for Bod Builders. I have photos of a newel post. If you go back a ways, it was probably 6 years ago now. It was this beautiful custom home, had all this amazing. Oh yeah, I forgot about that project. That is an amazing project, Phil. But I did this project because I put my heart and soul into this at the time. It was all of this wainscoting. And the carpenters were phenomenal carpenters. And it had this really cool detail on the top. So there were just all sorts of, and the return of the chair rail on top of the, whatever. The carpentry was phenomenal. And it was the first time in my career that I felt like at the time I was getting the money to do it. I was not getting the money to do it, but I was getting way more money than I ever thought I'd get to paint a place. But I burned through that budget like I always do to give incredible results. And I did 3 coats of premium wooden wall primer, and I think we did 2 or 3 coats of rounds of nail hole filler. And we got those surfaces where every piece of trim in this place looked like it had been glued in. And everything was mint. I mean, the amount of hours I spent sanding, I did it all with my brothers and another guy, one of my first employees. We crushed that project. And then I sprayed Sherwin-Williams Pro Classic Alkyd Acrylic on it. And it was so freaking nice. One of the best trim packages I've ever done. And then they called somebody else to do the second part of the project 8 months later when they decided to renovate more of the house. And I was devastated when they called me to say, oh, the GC called me and was begging me to come fix the other painter's work. And I was like, where? And he was telling me that it was on the project that we had done the best work of my career on. And that was a huge turning point as far as how I understood business and human relationships and people in the painting business. Because I gave my heart and soul, but I worked till like 10, 11 at night in that house. And I worked horrible hours and we were behind schedule. But I delivered the best paint job I'd ever delivered. And when it came time to bid the master bedroom, bathroom remodel, they didn't even call me. So that's a great lesson in how important customer experience is. But that's my favorite project because I'm still in contact with those clients today. We've done some like little things for them. We did a pergola for them and a couple other projects. I ran into them the other day. They're amazing clients. But it was an unbelievable paint job that taught me a lot, which I think is huge. Let's see. Somebody else put a question in. I'm just staring at the screen trying to read. What would separate you from other classes being offered? I don't know a lot about the other classes being offered. I did a little bit of homework. I know that, but not very much. Honestly, all I know is that I'm going to we're doing everything that we can to like give as much knowledge as possible. So I think the number one thing from what I understand that's going to separate us from other classes is just the ratios, like teacher to student ratios, if you will. The number of students versus the number of people that are going to be there. It's going to be myself, Dan, and Phil, which is not probably what it will be always. I think that's why we're going to hone down. But this first one is going to be myself, Dan, and Phil with 7 painters, teaching 7 painters. That's a ridiculous amount of hands-on and a lot of personal touch to the training. I've seen one class I was aware of is like 15 people were coming out for one day, which is just different. I don't know. One of the guys who went to that class is actually coming to ZK Finishing School. So I'm going to be really interested to talk to him about what his experience was like at ZK Finishing School versus this other place he went to learn. And so we can continue to get better. But I think a very intensive 2-day concentrated high-level stuff with few people is a huge advantage I think that we have. I'm not just like looking to make a bunch of money. So I'm not just trying, and I'm not saying that other people are. I shouldn't even say it like that. Let's just say that's what we're doing. And we're trying to add as much value as possible. So good question. Let's see. I thought I saw another. That might be it. Anybody else have a question before I sign off? Yeah, I bought 1 million cabinet door samples from my friend Ken Alger. Felt like I spent $1 million on them too. Ken's got to be hooking up better deals. But we have, so right now my plan is to have a cabinet door, but every person is going to have a cabinet door bare wood, one cabinet door that will already have its first coat of primer on it, one that's going to have its second coat of primer on it, and then one that will have its first coat of finish. So my goal is everyone will have 4 cabinets to do each step of the process on, and then they'll leave with the finished product. And then we also are going to have an MDF, like 12 by 12 MDF square to do the same thing on, and then another piece of plywood to do the same thing on. That's my goal. That's a lot, and it might be a little bit redundant. But people are going to get to leave with a sample of their own, and they're going to get to touch and feel each step of the way, because I think that's very important in what we do. And I'm really excited to meet these people. I mean, I know them all, but like to meet them and start this interaction. Nick Slavic's going to be there, which is really cool. I'm really lucky to call Nick a friend. And when I called him up and asked to pick his brain about this type of thing, because he's done some in-person classes before. Not more on the business side of stuff, but he was like, "Oh man, I want to come out and watch the class." And I was like, I've been dying to get Nick out to our shop for a long time. We've been talking about it. So we'll have Nick Slavic here nerding out on paint. It should be a lot of fun. But I have a big week to get to. The big payoff at the end will be finishing school. And I'm lucky to have Carney. She's going to make sure that everything runs smoothly. Wait till you see how nice this setup is going to be for food when we eat. She came to me, Carney, if you're here, I'm not throwing you under the bus, but I'm going to explain to people how thorough she is. She had on her iPad, oh man, I feel bad. I hope she's not watching. She drew, I asked her to send me the files and she didn't. Probably smart, because I would have posted them on my story, and I still might if she'll let me, because they're awesome. It just shows you how thorough she is. I wouldn't do these maybe I would actually, but she's drawn like a table, and then she drew like this like glass container that will hold apples, and then she drew like the rack that will hold the donuts, and like how it will be positioned, and she has this whole table decked out, and that's just one little example of how well thought out this whole thing. Has this whole thing. The execution behind the scenes should be really good, and we'll be able to tailor our curriculum for the third one. Even the second one, I'm sure we'll learn from the first one. The first guys, the poor first guys, they're gonna. But we have a lot of structure, but we also have time sort of blocked out to like go work on what you want to hone in on, and it should be really interesting. I'm very excited. But first we have to finish 2 high gloss rooms. No big deal, Phil. No big deal. Just finish 2 high gloss rooms that have 1 coat of primer on them. And clean up so that the cleaning people can come on Saturday. So the clients can come move in on Monday. Oh, it's insane the things that we do. And I was, oh yes, we'll just get high gloss black paint grenades. What were we thinking? So again, everybody, thanks for watching ZK Live. I know that first beginning of this was a little rocky with the connections. But everybody stay tuned. Tuesday we have John from Paint School. We're going to nerd out about paint and the business of paint. And he's our #1 commenter. He adds the most value through the comment section of anyone that watches this show. So I can't wait to have him on. We're going to have I'm not going to say no. You guys are all going to have to step up your comments game, because we're going to be missing John, because John's going to be being interviewed. So stay tuned for that. That's Tuesday night. And yeah, everybody have a great week. Thanks for watching. If you're not listening, I'd love to, at some point, if you don't watch these live, send me a DM or let me know how you are listening or watching these. I've heard from people, some people watch them and listen to them through YouTube. Some people are listening to them on iTunes. Some people on Spotify. Somehow we're going to have to put out a poll. I want to figure out where everyone's listening and watching these at. What's your preferred method? Because I know watching them, if you're not watching them live, watching them on your through Instagram can be a pain in the butt, I believe, from what I've heard. If you get a phone call or you have to come back and forth, it doesn't always like reload in the same section. So we are on iTunes. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. So send me a DM at some point. Let me know how you're listening to us and what you want to hear more of and what you want to hear less of. I need some critiques, man. Come on. I haven't gotten much feedback from anybody. So everybody have a great week. Go out and crush it. And I'll see you Tuesday.